Somewhere in the cube, there was a statue of a soldier carrying a sword in his hand. Yona is seen around the statue. She seemed to be waiting for someone. Shortly after that, the person she was waiting for finally came. Yona was then happy to see that. She then greeted him. The person turned out to be Hajin. She thought he wouldn't come. Yona said that there was one more person who still hadn't come. It seemed like she would be a little late. So she invited Hajin to come in first. Hajin understood, but he was quite confused about who else was coming. Yona didn't seem to tell him that. When the two of them were in the car and traveling, Yona then opened the conversation. She said, "It seems like he finished the end-of-term exam very well." Hearing that, Hajin replied that he only got 67 points, although his tone was like that, but it was a lot of points. Yona said that if he didn't want to look conspicuous, he should get less than 20 points. She also said that other guilds are starting to pay attention to him now. Hajin just stayed silent hearing that. After driving for some time, they almost arrived at their destination. And when Hajin saw their destination coming into view, he was then surprised. Yona then welcomed him. "Welcome to the essence of the strait." Some time before Hajin met with Yona, he suddenly got a message sent by Cube, Guild Tour announcement. At 6 p.m. this afternoon, each guild will announce their cadet tour list. The cadets on the list will be contacted immediately through their smartwatches. Guild Tour. This is a system that gives cadets time off to see the work of active heroes, and domestic guilds have the right to recruit the cadets they want, starting from the highest-ranking guilds. After reading the message, he is also curious about what the heroes are doing. There must be a number of side missions like he wrote, but only 3 people can be recruited by each guild from grade 1 and 2 cadets. That's why grade 1 cadets below the top 300 have no chance, based on his entrance exam ranking, no matter how well he finished the end-of-term exam. He felt that maybe he still couldn't enter the top 300, it was a little disappointing, but he was then surprised by the sudden notification sound from his smartwatch. He got a message. He was confused. Who sent him a message? And when he opened it, to his surprise, it turned out to be a message from Essence of the Strait, the second best guild in Korea. He has been selected to do a guild tour. If he does not want to participate, he is requested to contact them, but such an offer would certainly not be rejected by him. And that was the story of why Hajin could go with Yona to the Essence of the Strait. When they were there, a guide then explained. Although this event was called a guild tour, as they could see, there were actually a lot of missions that took place here. Missions that are of a certain difficulty level and above can only be taken on after the office has completed its analysis of the mission. Hearing that, Hajin then silently glanced at Yona. He guessed, maybe Yona put his name on the list. She is the daughter of the guild master, so she must have the right to do that. Realizing that, he wondered, isn't that an abuse of power? After walking for a while, they then arrived at a place, and when they went inside, they then saw a lot of people there. They looked very busy. Seeing that, Hajin realized that this was the analysis room. The guide then said to him, he heard he was ranked first in theory, that's why they wanted to show him this room first. The name of the guide who guided them was Park Sang-do. He was a hero with a grade between intermediate and advanced. He was also Yona's left hand. He was the hero assigned to be a guide on the guild tour this time. When looking at him, Hajin felt that he really seemed like a nice guy. If it wasn't for the story he wrote, he wouldn't have expected this at all. He was a bastard who would betray Yona later, and someone suddenly approached them at this time. She asked Park Sang-do if the cadets were here. When she saw him, she asked, so he was the cadet named Kim Hajin huh? Seeing her, Hajin knew, she was Lee Jina. Just like Park Sang-do, she was also a hero who was at a grade between intermediate and advanced. Lee Jina then sarcastically said to him, isn't the world too good? Didn't expect a 934 ranked person to be able to do a guild tour at the Essence of the Strait. She wondered who managed to help pull that off. Hearing that, Hajin realized that there was no way she would have a good impression on him. Lee Jina was currently a direct subordinate of Young Hoseok, the vice guildmaster of Essence of the Strait. She was hostile to Yona, who was the guildmaster's daughter and potential successor, but that was only for now. Later, Lee Jina would work under Yona, and climb to the position of the vice guildmaster with her own strength, the most outstanding person within the guild. Hearing her unhappy tone, Sang-do immediately told her that Hajin was the #1 ranked cadet when it came to theory, but Lee Jina didn't care about that at all. She was also #1 when it came to theory. She also said that the theories that cadets learn about aren't even that crucial. Don't you think so? Theory #1 kid. Hajin just silently heard her insulting tone, but Lee Ji-na suddenly thought of something when she saw the papers she was holding. While handing the papers to him, she then asked, if he was so confident in his abilities, could he try to solve this? Sango really didn't understand her behavior. How could she just show insider information? Lee Ji-na said that it didn't matter, it's nothing important. She then told Hajin to check it out, let's see what he can do. Hajin was really annoyed to be constantly belittled like that, but with this, he at least became excited now. While raising his hand to her, Hajin asked, could she lend him some paper? Hearing that, Lee Ji-na then disparagingly said, even if she gave it, does he know what to write? Hajin was really annoyed at her attitude. While seeing the dispute between the two of them, Yona suddenly got a message. She said, it looks like the last person had arrived on the first floor. Hearing that, Sango then invited her to pick her up together. Hajin was now left alone. When looking at the things Lee Ji-na gave him, Hajin knew. The content of this was about the variables that could occur when raiding a dungeon. This was definitely a question that a cadet wouldn't be able to answer, but as long as he had observation and reading, he only needed to write the calculations that appeared automatically in front of him. He really finished that difficult thing quickly, but when Hajin was about to write the last part, his paper was suddenly picked up by someone. That person was of course Lee Ji-na. She asked, was he still not finished yet? Didn't he see that they had already left? She told him to stop doing anything unnecessary, give up and leave already. Hajin was really annoyed at her current behavior. After that, Hajin then followed Yona to the first floor. He still regretted that he wasn't able to write that last part down. He also annoyedly thought that she better not ask him to do that last part later on, and when the elevator reached the first floor, the door on the elevator then opened. And the person he saw when he just got out of the elevator surprisingly turned out to be Nayun. Nayun also looked unexpected to see him here. She then immediately asked Yona why he was here. Yona carelessly said, who knows? Hajin also didn't expect that the last person who came was Nayun. Yona seemed to do it on purpose, but what made Hajin confused was why Yona didn't say anything about her. After doing various kinds of activities, the afternoon finally arrived. At Yu Jinhyuk's office, Jinhyuk was seen who looked confused at this time. He really didn't expect. The result of spending a month digging into his past turned out to be just a few sheets of paper. The figure of Kim Hajin now turned out to be very mysterious in his mind. He was really confused. How many people were in his past, who his parents were and why he became an orphan? No matter how deep he dug, he didn't find much. He could only sigh helplessly at the moment. His nephew really gave him a difficult task, but he certainly wouldn't give up so easily. In fact, the more he hid in the shadows, the more he felt attracted. After all the cadets on this guild tour gathered, Sango then explained. The guidance this time was an activation mission. They had to be on standby until they got the activation order. He also asked Nayun, why was she late? Hearing that, Nayun then embarrassedly scratched the back of her head. She replied that it was because she was meeting with her grandfather before coming here. Hearing that, Sango then excitedly asked, did she mean the great hero, Chai Jukil? When they were about to continue their guild tour activities, Yona suddenly got a message. She then asked them to go first. She wanted to call someone. After going to a quiet place, she then called the person. The person she called was Jinhyuk. She asked, what about her request? Hearing that, Jinhyuk laughed awkwardly. He said that he still hadn't started because lately he was quite busy. Yona then got annoyed hearing that. She scolded him. Was he just playing with her? Hearing her annoyance, Jinhyuk then confusedly asked her, why was she trying to find his parents? No, from the beginning, did he even want to find his own parents? Hearing that, Yona replied, it was possible. That person had memorized the wanted list. She thought his parents were involved with a crime. Hearing that, Jinhyuk wondered, could it be the Gwango refugee camp massacre incident? Seeing his silence, Yona then called him. She asked, so when would he start looking? Jinhyuk apologized. He reasoned that a guest had just arrived. He said, they would talk about this later, and he then ended the call just like that. Yona was then surprised by that. Jinhyuk was really dizzy at this time. He suspected Kim Hajin might be involved with that incident, the Gwango refugee camp massacre incident. 16 years ago, monsters flooded the territory of the Gwango fortress. It was a massacre incident of 87 ordinary citizens who were in the refuge, and also 9 heroes who tried to defend it. He was caught trying to investigate this incident more than 10 years ago, and was later expelled from the Yu family. although the government and the association concluded that it was all caused by Jin, that's only what was revealed on the surface. The real culprits behind the incident were the president of South Korea at the time, Kim Seoko, the director of Daehoon, Choi Jukil, and also his brother, Yoo Yona's father, Yoo Jin-young. What's worse is that they went as far as hiring an assassin to do it. For them, it's probably an insignificant matter, but what if there are survivors of the incident? If Kim Hajin's parents are really victims of the incident 16 years ago, then what if Kim Hajin is planning revenge now? This is dangerous. Jin Hyuk realizes this problem will not end easily if he keeps digging. Once that crazy old man Choi Jukil realizes what he is doing, he will definitely suffer a terrible death. Just thinking about it already made him tremble. Back to Hajin and friends. They continued their guild tour activities. An announcement sound was then heard which announced the destination of their mission this time. After hearing that, they then immediately headed there. Hajin was seen trying to catch up with the three of them from behind. He was very tired at this time, realizing Hajin's absence. Sango then asked, "Where is Hajin?" Nayeon told him to just relax, he would catch up. But what made her confused was, why Yona put on such a dull face all this time. It was certainly because she was still very upset with her uncle's behavior, and as they continued to walk forward, they then saw the golems that were the target of their mission appear. Two civilians were seen in front of one of the golems. Their situation was very dangerous at this time, because the golem then launched a blow towards them, but fortunately, before the attack from the golem landed, Yona had first tied the hand with her whip. Seeing that, Sango then praised her action, not wasting the opportunity created by her. Sango then threw the spear in his hand strongly towards the golem. The spear throw was so strong that it destroyed the golem. Hajin at this time also finally caught up with them. He was happy to finally catch up, but his friends seemed to have started to fight the golems, with a position aiming at the golem. Nayeon then estimated its height. It was about 2 meters tall. She felt that maybe she could defeat it using a sword. With thoughts like that, Nayeon then put her bow back. With a quick movement, Nayeon then moved to attack the golem. Usually, the golem's weak point is its ankle. With her eyes fixed on the golem's ankle, Nayeon then attacked. But, even before her attack could land, the golem had already attacked her stomach with its big hand. Nayeon spit out a mouthful of blood due to how strong the golem's attack was, and fell to the ground. She really didn't understand why the golem could be so fast. Not giving her time to think further, the golem then attacked her again. Hajin, who witnessed it, then immediately warned her. But he was then stunned. Seeing Nayeon, who was now in his arms, Hajin wondered what really happened, because he really wanted to save Chai Nayeon. The ether reacted automatically. The atmosphere suddenly became awkward. Hajin thought that he had to say something, so he then advised her, if she continued to stand still at crucial moments like that, you should fight from a distance. He asked, her sword should be longer than that, right? Nayeon was stunned for a moment to hear that. With a feeling of shame, Nayeon then told him to mind his own business. She reasoned that she made a mistake because she was careless. Now, she told him to take a good look. After turning her face away from him, Nayeon then thanked him. The reason why Chai Nayeon should be a swordsman is because her mana capacity is several times greater than an ordinary hero. Her talent is mana C. Her mana capacity is even greater than Kim Suho's. It even has no limit when she uses the sword as her medium. Nayeon really went forward alone to face the golems. After a while, they finally managed to take care of the golems, because the rescue unit had arrived. Sango then took them back, but Hajin suddenly noticed the presence of someone from the top of the building behind him, and when he looked at the person, he then realized who it was. Seeing him who was still standing there, Nayeon then told him to hurry up. While glancing at the person, Hajin silently apologized to her for hitting her with the ether. Seeing Hajin, who walked away, the person then left there. At the guild building essence of the strait, Lee Jina complained because her shoulder was very sore. She seemed to be working all the time. Seeing that, her colleague asked her if she was still calculating, even though she had said it was fine to leave it to the people in the office. Lee Jina snorted at that. She haughtily said that she was smarter than those people. After all, she was almost done. Seeing a paper with scribbles beside her, her colleague then asked, "What kind of paper is it? Does she use paper and pen to calculate?" Hearing that, Lee Jina then remembered. She said that this is the scribbles of that arrogant boy. She then decided to look at it. With a disdainful laugh, she said, "Shall we see how he do?" but when she started to examine the paper, the shock in her heart could not be described by words. When Hajin had arrived at his dormitory, he then received a continuous message from Lee Jina. She asked him to chat for a while. Seeing no answer from Hajin, Lee Jina then anxiously asked him to answer her call, but she then remembered that tomorrow Hajin would come again to the guild, then, they would talk tomorrow. Reading that, Hajin mockingly thought, how could he go? He already knew roughly how the guild operated, he had no more business there. He then sent a message to Sango that he could not join the guild tour tomorrow. Sango was then confused to read that. Hajin was silent for a moment. He then ignorantly thought, should he tease her a little? Hajin then sent a message to them. Someone said that he was on the guild tour list because of the support network, because he was the 934th ranked cadet. Instead of being treated like that, maybe it was better to give a chance to other cadets. He also apologized to them. Sango and Lee Jina could only be stunned to read that. They then looked at each other in confusion, feeling upset. Sango then blamed Lee Jina for this. Seeing that, Lee Jina immediately said that she didn't mean for it to be like this. Hajin chuckled. He felt this should be enough. He could imagine how angry Yona would be when she found out about this. After doing the little prank, Hajin yawned because he felt sleepy. He was very tired today. He thought it must be because he went to many places today. Looking at the evangel who was asleep on the floor, Hajin wondered, what had she done to fall asleep like that? Even though he was very sleepy, but there was something he had to do today. He had to do it as soon as Evangel fell asleep. After placing Evangel on the bed, Hajin then took something he had hidden in his room. It was a bag containing the powder of butterfly sapling. After opening the bag and looking at the amount of powder inside, Hajin did not think that this was more than he thought. If there was this much, he could share a little with Suho and Rachel, then he could also use it too. He then divided the powder equally into 3, the 2 of them were important, but he also had to survive. He had to use this when the opportunity arose. He must strike when the opportunity arises, and do it when it was well planned. Hajin knew that it was useless to use this with his physique like this, because he only had SP instead of strength. So he had to use this powder on the ether. After deciding that, Hajin then poured the powder into the ether. After that, he just had to wait until it finished absorbing it. But he suddenly got a message at this time. It was from Nayun. Hajin was then confused to see that. Nayun thanked him for today, but Hajin was then confused to read the hanging message. 10 minutes later, Nayun still hadn't sent him another message. One of the 2 things that could annoy other people was to stop talking in the middle of a conversation, so Hajin decided to immediately ask, what? But Nayun asked him back. What? Hajin asked again, what is it? But Nayun asked him, what do you want from me? Hajin was speechless reading that, even though she was the one who started the conversation. Hajin then just told her to sleep. Nayun laughed amusedly reading the message. Hajin could only sigh helplessly at her silly behavior. While smiling slightly, he then silently called her stupid. He did not expect to exchange messages with Nayun like this. This was a new emotion for him. He started off as an extra character unrelated to the main story, but somehow he ended up here. If he thought about his role now, he was like a supporting character, because nothing was certain. He couldn't change anything, even though it was late, but Yona was still busy at this time. She has a lot to take care of. She has to write the guild tour report and upload the guild recruitment. There is indeed an information team in Essence of the Strait, but that's not enough. They need people to take care of the information. The system is ready, so they just need to recruit someone. She is still annoyed when she remembers the answer from her uncle, instead of waiting for that lazy human. It's better for her to do it herself, but she was then surprised when someone called her at night. It was from Chai Nayun. When she picked up the phone, Nayun then called her. Yona asked, what's wrong? Why did she suddenly call? She was busy. Nayun said that she wanted to go to the seminar with Kim Suho on Tuesday. She asked if she wanted to come, and when Yona was about to reject the invitation, Nayun quickly said that Shin Jonghak was also coming. Yona immediately changed her answer and accepted the invitation. She then confusedly asked, was that why she called her? Nayun replied no. She looked a little hesitant. Nayun then cleared her throat for a moment and asked, had she seen the footage of yesterday's battle against the stone golem from the drone? Hearing that, Yona replied yes, because she had to write the report too. Hearing that, Nayun still looked a little hesitant. Realizing that, Yona asked, did she want to discuss the part when Kim Hajin helped her? Nayun immediately panicked when caught off guard by her. She then immediately denied it. Yona continued, it was clearly recorded, it seemed like she landed right in his arm. Nayun was really very embarrassed to hear that. She then warned her, just watch out if she dared to spread it. Yona just chuckled at that. She said, why would she spread it? But, she asked, is it good? Nayun immediately asked after hearing that, what did she mean? Yona laughed out loud at her answer. She then said that she was busy, so she would hang up first. Nayun was really annoyed with her behavior. Seeing the call ended, Nayun then hugged her legs with embarrassment. Yona's mood immediately became good after teasing Nayun, but when she was about to return to her work, someone suddenly called her again. But this time it was not from Nayun. When she heard the words of the person, she then stood up from her chair because of how surprised she was. She was surprised to find out that Hajin did not join the guild tour. It seems that Sango was the one who called her at this time. He reported everything that Lee Jina had done during the guild tour to her. Yona could only sigh helplessly. She was very upset with Lee Jina. Even though they were almost able to get Hajin to sign the contract, she also lamented Hajin's unpredictable movements. A notification suddenly appeared in front of Hajin at this time. His SP increased by 89, the luck bonus was active, he got 12 additional SP. Hajin was then surprised to see something unexpected like that suddenly appear. He wondered, did he gain interest somewhere he didn't know? Whatever it was, he was happy because he had gained SP. If so, he wondered, should he invest this SP too? No matter how hard he tried, his physical stat would drop over time, so the best thing he could do was to choose and focus, since he had used sapling powder for the ether. He decided to use all his SP on weapons rather than his physical. By increasing the random enhancement system, cognition, specialized equipment is recognized. Random enhancement, the concept of the specialized equipment is enhanced by 1 to 100%, the chosen percentage lasts for 24 hours and after 24 hours, it's set randomly. If you invest SP into the talent you can enhance the random enhancement system, although from the outside it looked like a Dreg's talent, but since his luck was above more than 0.1% of people, the effectiveness would be good for him. Although success in writing was another story, after deciding that, Hajin then began to write his talent. He then closed his eyes while hoping that it would work, and when he opened his eyes slowly, he then saw a series of notifications. Due to insufficient SP, the quality was reduced. Hajin could only sigh in disappointment reading that. He had expected he did not have enough SP, but he was then surprised when he read the notification that appeared next. Luck has been activated, chance of failure has been restored. Random enhancement system, at most, 5 weapons will be recognized. The concept of the specialized equipment is enhanced by 1 to 44%. The chosen percentage lasts for 24 hours and after 24 hours, it's set randomly. When recognition of a weapon is removed, after an hour, IT will revert back to normal. Reading that, Hajin was honestly not very satisfied, but since this was an unbelievable setup, he had to be grateful for that much. The preparation was complete. The reason for speeding up the enhancement preparation was because Hajin then opened his smartwatch. There was a notification telling him that the destination of the travel club next Friday was England. This was a sign that the main story would soon begin again. Over the past week, his summer vacation felt like a series of continuous training, because he still had to train even though he had used all his SP on his weapon. Despite training so hard, his stat was still average, but the ether was fully developed, it could materialize, it had no concrete form and would strengthen when with its owner. Part of it is potentially detachable due to the power of the mysterious spirit. The summary of the changes is, physical strengthening increased by 0.7, and this is when 2 additional functions. Details manifestation that can manifest a number of colors and flavors. Hajin wondered, should he try it? It would be difficult to make a gun because of its complex composition, so he then formed a simpler object, which is a knife. Hajin was then surprised, because it was unexpectedly successful. When holding the knife, he felt that its form and texture were like a normal knife, but his experiments did not stop there. He then used random enhancement to strengthen the knife. The action succeeded in strengthening the knife 31%. After that, Hajin then tested the knife. By throwing it forcefully towards the boulder in front of him, its power is nowhere near normal, and when the knife finally landed on the stone, it really broke it. Seeing these results, Hajin thought that the details manifestation and random enhancement were really very useful. The knife throw earlier even split the ground and the stone in front of him. This is not as strong as a relic, But the important thing is the external appearance. Items with normal form can catch people off guard, and when the dagger would pierce the heart of one of them who was caught off guard, that's good enough. The next day, Hajin then gave Evangel the spirit friend as her toy. He told her that she had to be a good and quiet child when he went for club activities. Okay. Hajin also said that he would buy her delicious food. Evangel was very happy to hear that. Hajin also warned her that if she could only make animals with the spirit friend, she could not make humans. He asked if she understood. Evangel playfully covered both ears hearing that. She then said that she understood. So she asked him to stop bothering her. Hajin laughed at her cute behavior. He then said goodbye to her. Evangel also waved her hand at him, in a luxury building in Cube. A servant reported to Rachel that she didn't have to worry anymore. Their contract with Cube has ended and they decided to recruit a trusted agent. Hearing that, Rachel then thanked the servant named Henry. Henry continued, and regarding the cadet who saved her, if she didn't mind, he wanted to meet him by utilizing the Imperial Guild. Hearing that, Rachel said that she was happy to hear that. She invited him to do so. The Hajin she saw earlier was definitely not just a 934th rank cadet. She was sure that other guilds would want to recruit him, but she then remembered that recruiting someone too early was illegal, so she had to observe for now. Although the Imperial Guild was lacking when compared to the famous Korean guilds, with the priority recruitment rights that the Imperial Guild had, they could legally recruit better than other guilds. Seeing that all the club members had gathered, Han-hyun then invited them all to go straight to England. The weather was very hot there. Na-yoon even complained about the heat. Hearing that, Yona asked, why is she wearing a cadet uniform here anyway? Seeing Hajin who was wearing a jacket, Na-yoon asked, doesn't he feel hot? He is wearing a jacket that covers the top of his cadet uniform. Hajin said that he really felt comfortable. What he was wearing was the royal black coat, which had the highest rank function in controlling temperature. Hearing his answer, Na-yoon felt it was very annoying. When they arrived in England, they were then amazed at the scenery presented in front of them. While pointing upwards, Han-hyun then said to them, the place they saw in the sky was their destination today, Clancy Islet. They would enter the portal together to go there. Hearing that name, Hajin thought, that place was made by the British government using the floating crystal they had. It was a place where everything related to money was located, such as entertainment, auctions, and events for the release of new items. It's the Golden Island, which is basically like the Las Vegas of England. This is where the main story this time will begin. When they arrived there, Na-yoon looked very happy when she came back to see the activities in that place. It had been a long time since she had been here. Yona also said that she was the same. Hearing that, Soho then asked, had they been here? Hajin said that he was here for the first time, while Na-yoon herself answered yes. She came here with her brother when she was 11 years old, and she hadn't been here since then. Her mood suddenly turned sad when she remembered her brother. The atmosphere between them suddenly fell silent for a moment. Realizing that, Soho then tried to divert her attention. He said that he was here for the first time. He asked, could she be his guide? Na-yoon happily accepted that. She asked him to leave it to her. After they all gathered, Han-hyun then explained to them, there will be a big event at the islet at 7 p.m. tonight. He had asked them if they could participate in the event and they happily allowed them. He said that they were free to wander around and have fun before the event started. He also asked if there were any questions. Hearing that, Na-yoon then immediately raised her hand high. She asked, can they go to the casino too? Han-hyun replied yes. Cube cadets are already considered adults. Na-yoon was very happy to hear that. She then invited the three of them to go to the casino together. When they arrived there, a room full of gambling machines and equipment was then presented in front of their eyes. Hajin said that the place was more luxurious than he imagined. Na-yoon then enthusiastically said that she would exchange some chips. When Hajin went to the reception desk to exchange some chips, the receptionist then asked him to show his identity card before making an exchange. Hearing that, Hajin then showed his identity card to her. But, he asked, how long has she worked here? The receptionist turned out to be Jane, who was in disguise. Hearing that, Jane replied, 6 years. Hajin said that it was really long. He also thanked her for the chip. Hajin had expected Jane to go undercover to this place. The event that Oh Han-hyun said will start at 7 p.m. tonight. Honestly, it's a big deal because it's a very big event, because all the beasts from all over the world will gather there. Eyeing that, Hajin clenched his hands tightly. Even though he wanted to cool his head, he couldn't help but get nervous, because this place is the best place to earn money for people like him who live in luck. The incident will occur at 7 p.m. He still has time. Hajin has already decided what he will do during that time. Hajin's plan is of course to gamble there. After exchanging some chips, he decided to play the slot machine first. But he then heard the sound of complaints from someone he knew. It was Nayun. She said that it was really unfair, it was really just a little bit left. Seeing that, Hajin thought, if Nayun was there, it meant that the man was Vert. With a feeling of resentment for losing the gamble, Nayun then decided to finish and leave from there. The people who were at the table with her then said goodbye to her. But Vert suddenly asked her to wait a minute. He said that he felt bad about winning from the children's money so easily. He said he would return 25% of the money. Nayun was really upset to be belittled like that. With a feeling of resentment, she then returned to her seat and said, "What won so easily?" She said that she could drain all his money if she was serious. The next story was, in just 2 hours from now, Chai Nayun would be crying in the hotel after losing all the money she brought here. It was because they were all scammers, especially their leader, Vret. He was one of the important characters in his novel, and sure enough, Nayun kept losing as she continued gambling with them. Hajin could only sigh helplessly at the loser's behavior. As a member of the fourth generation of a rich family, losing that money meant nothing to her. But he was a little interested in Vert. Hajin then approached them and asked Nayun to stand up. He said, "Let me play."